A drizzle blanketed London's grey morning skyline as the grand entrance to Clarence House welcomed an unusual blend of royalty and literary talent. It wasn't a state visit or a gala, but something quieter and arguably more powerful. Today, Queen Camilla, consort of King Charles and an ardent patron of literature, would sit down for an intimate gathering with some of the brightest female authors in the United Kingdom. The event, discreetly organized and strikingly personal, was hosted in the Royal Library, a room lined with ancient volumes and new works, the spines of which told the story of time and culture. But it wasn't just the scent of old parchment and polish in the air, it was the unmistakable energy of ideas about to collide. As the Queen descended the spiral staircase clad in deep violet, her brooch glinting in the soft lighting, the women stood. Among them, Zadie Smith, Bernardine Evaristo, Elif Shafak, Maggie O'Farrell, and several emerging voices chosen from the Royal Reading Room Initiative, a program launched by Queen Camilla to elevate lesser-known writers. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The Queen greeted each woman with warmth and familiarity, her eyes lighting up at the sight of well-thumbed books they had brought with them. "These," she said, lifting a copy of Girl, Woman, Other, "have kept me company during many sleepless nights." The room chuckled, a mix of humility and delight passing among them. What unfolded over the next 2 hours was not just a conversation, but a revelation. No pomp, no press releases. Just women with pens, pasts, and purpose. A literary queen's mission. Queen Camilla's advocacy for reading is no royal whim. In recent years, she has become a true force behind literature's quiet revolution, pushing for wider accessibility, diverse storytelling, and, above all, the celebration of women's voices. This meeting was one such step, a continuation of her campaign to not just consume stories, but to platform their creators. "I've always believed books are our most democratic form of magic," Camilla said, taking her seat beside a low table scattered with poetry anthologies and tea. "They allow us to live in other bodies, hear other hearts, and find parts of ourselves we didn't know were missing." Her guests nodded, and soon the conversation took on a rhythm. Evaristo spoke of the balancing act between visibility and artistic integrity. Shafak opened up about the vulnerability of telling cross-cultural stories in turbulent political climates. Maggie O'Farrell shared the quiet loneliness that sometimes haunts authors after publication, a surprising echo of royal life, perhaps. Zadie Smith offered a reflection on storytelling in the age of distraction. "There's a pressure now to be fast, reactive. But literature demands slowness. It's the only place we can still think in paragraphs." Queen Camilla responded, "Exactly. A paragraph is a luxury. A world unto itself. Bridging realms. The power of female storytelling." What set this event apart wasn't just its attendees, but the emotional honesty that unfolded. The authors weren't here to flatter or perform. They were here to talk, woman to woman, mind to mind. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. One of the most poignant moments came when a young poet from Bristol, part of the Royal Reading Room's Rising Voices initiative, shared a piece inspired by her immigrant grandmother. Her voice trembled slightly as she read the final line. "She crossed oceans with only a suitcase and silence slash, so I fill the silence with syllables." There was a beat of silence after, broken by Camilla's soft, "Beautiful." She stood to offer the poet a light embrace. It was a simple gesture, but one that resonated deeply. Here was a queen acknowledging not just royalty by blood, but royalty of story. The diversity in the room, racial, generational, geographic, was no accident. Queen Camilla has made it a personal goal to unearth stories from corners often ignored by the mainstream. "Not every queen wears a crown," she said later. "Some wield a pen, and they reign just as powerfully." Tea, laughter, and literary revelations. The conversation wasn't all solemn. There were moments of laughter, such as when Smith confessed she once missed a train stop because she was rereading Pride and Prejudice, and got caught up analyzing Mr. Darcy's emotional repression. Camilla joined in. I once spilled an entire cup of tea on Rebecca because I couldn't turn the pages fast enough. There were debates too. A lively discussion broke out over the rise of AI-generated stories. Can a machine understand heartbreak? O'Farrell asked. No, Camilla said with a grin. But it can certainly try to write about it badly. They laughed again, but it was clear the Queen's position was thoughtful. Technology can help more people read, which is wonderful. But it's the human imperfections that make literature eternal, the gift of legacy. As the afternoon drew to a close, each author was presented with a handmade leather-bound journal embossed with their initials and the royal reading room insignia. These are for your next stories, Camilla said. Because I want more. But the biggest surprise came when Camilla unveiled the Queen's Anthology of Women's Voices, a project she had secretly commissioned. This upcoming publication would feature essays, short stories, and poems from both renowned and emerging women writers across the UK. All proceeds would go to literacy charities focused on girls and women. The announcement brought several to tears. It's not just about publishing, Shafak said later. It's about preserving. About saying these voices matter not just now, but for centuries to come. The watchful world. Though the meeting was private, a short official video was released later by Buckingham Palace. It showed candid footage, Camilla deep in discussion, authors smiling over tea, the poet reading her verse. The video exploded online. Within hours, Queen's Writers' Tea trended across platforms. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Comments poured in. This is the royal engagement we need in 2025. Camilla continues Diana's legacy of using the crown to spotlight others. Literature finally has its royal champion. What resonated most was the authenticity. In a world hungry for influence, here was influence used for intimacy and impact. There was no velvet curtain hiding the truth. Books still matter. Words still build bridges. And women's stories, long sidelined, are finally getting their throne. A footnote in history, a chapter for the future. As the authors exited Clarence House that afternoon, some carrying new books under their arms, others simply holding a quiet pride, there was a shared sense of something important having occurred. Not flashy, not headline-grabbing in the tabloid sense, but something that would ripple forward. I don't think I've ever felt more seen, one author said. It wasn't about royalty. It was about being heard. Queen Camilla, watching from the window, knew that this was only the beginning. Her reign, though ceremonial in structure, was proving transformative in spirit. And in this chapter of her royal journey, she was doing what perhaps few monarchs ever had, listening, truly listening, to the women who write our world. Watch the highlights here, link placeholder. And don't forget to follow the Royal Reading Room for more literary events and author features. If you'd like this piece tailored to a specific outlet, e.g., a magazine, literary blog, or newsletter, or if you want accompanying visuals, social media captions, or a shorter version for a press release, I can create that as well. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.